Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. This is me. Yeah, John.
Check. 1, 2. Check.
Thank
check.
you. Welcome, everybody, to the world-famous Wrestling Uncensored pre-show. What's going on?
What is going on? Well, I don't have the title belt with me, unfortunately.
Oh, you didn't win the match?
I did not win the match. It was a nice back-and-forth match. It was a lot of fun, but nope, didn't win.
So you didn't bring the belt with you?
Well, I'm not the champion, so no, I couldn't do it.
Well, that's disappointing. How was the match?
Oh, it was a great back-and-forth match.
Yeah?
Me and Alex chopped the living hell out of each other.
Alex North.
Yep. There was many points where it seemed like I was going to win the championship, but...
Well, you designed the match to make it look like that, right?
Took a nasty bump off the top rope. He gave me like a belly off the top rope.
Oh, yeah?
People thought it was over there. It was not over there. But we did the whole thing where it's kind of like I kick out, and then he gives me his finish. I kick out of his finish, and then he's like, tells me to stay down. I goozle him from the ground.
Goozle.
Start to slowly come up, but I'm too beat up, and then I can't finish it. And he's like, if you remember the Triple H Undertaker, I think it's WrestleMania 27, the second time, not the first one at 17, but the one they had 10 years later, not the Hell in the Cell, but kind of like that, and how he just finished me after that. And, yeah, I didn't win the championship. Sorry.
Well, that's okay, man. That's okay. You can still be on Wrestling Uncensored, John.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You can still be on the show. I won't kick you off just because you didn't win the title. You still have a home here.
Can I talk about the street fight I had, too, as well?
No.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Really
yeah, of course.
It's quite a story of that street fight.
Yeah, it wasn't a real street fight, though, right?
Well,
he didn't get into a fight. We're talking about a wrestling match you had.
I just want to say I really appreciate the amount of time you guys gave me on Ringside Report. Like a good 10, 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah, of putting you over on the last episode of Ringside Report Radio that you can download right now or listen to on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. Yeah, we put you over quite a bit on that show last week.
I appreciate that. It was kind of like hijacking the show in a sense, and it's not MMA, but the fact you guys did that, I really appreciate that. But yeah, I think I told you that we didn't have any weapons. We weren't allowed to use any weapons. We weren't allowed to break anything.
Who'd you wrestle?
I wrestled Rick Lucas.
Okay.
He's a hardcore wrestler, and he was up to do stuff, but it was more the promoters, mainly Paul Rossetti, who said that you weren't allowed to go out and do stuff, and then the other promoter, Jeremy Prophet, pretty much said the same thing. I had some suggestions, some ideas. I'm like, well, okay, we can't go outside, but can we go in the bathrooms? No, you can't go in the bathrooms. They have a balcony. Can we use the balcony? No, you cannot go up in the balcony. And then I wanted to use the ring. I wanted, what if we just took the bottom rope off? But it's like, oh, you guys are the semi-main event. We're not the main event. What's the main event going to do with bottom rope? I'm like, you don't need a bottom rope. And then Jeremy was in the main event, so Jeremy's like, you're not using the bottom rope. It actually got kind of heated, actually, because I'm like, oh, can I do this? Can I do this? And eventually they're like, if you don't stop asking for stuff, you're going to lose this match because it's going to end no contest. I'm like, okay, I'll lose the match. Can I do this stuff? And they're like, no, you're not doing it. Because I just needed stuff. But fortunately, they okayed one idea we had, which was I goozled his manager, and he spears me through one of the fire exits, so then we can fight outside for a little bit.
Outside of the building?
Outside the building.
You were allowed to do that?
We're allowed to do that just for a little bit. We can't fight outside too much.
Could the fans see you?
Some did. Some actually went outside, but some didn't. So it didn't last long. It was just the fact that you could see us spear through the door, and then we fought a little bit outside, but not too much. Very little.
That makes sense.
Well, yeah. So pretty much the match was just, we were both dressed in jeans to sell the fact that it's a street fight. And for the most part, we just went around the ring, took a tour, and just chopped each other back and forth a lot. and then we rapid-fire chopped each other, and then the chops just turned into slaps back and forth all the way around the ring. And then I slammed him on the apron, threw him back in, then his manager distracted me. He put me in a beating a bit because he turned it around on me. Didn't last long. I hit my finish on him, but he kicked out. He rolled out, slammed his head. Then we did the Goozle spot with the manager to the outside, and then we came back in, fought to the back, and that was the finish.
Just fighting to the back, it just went no contest?
That's it.
Sounds like a fun weekend you had. A couple matches.
Well, I feel great, actually. I feel bad if some fans were a little unsatisfied with what that street fight was, because it probably didn't feel like much of a street fight. But I tried to give it a real match feel to it, with the whole like chops and the slaps. And I felt some people enjoyed it. Some people complained, obviously. They're like, oh, this didn't feel like a street fight. But
there was a limit to what you could do.
A lot of restrictions.
A lot of restrictions put on you. Well, that's what happens sometimes, right? The wrestlers want to do X, Y, Z, and the promoters don't allow it to happen.
I did what I could, and I tried. I got yelled at a lot, too.
Did you really?
Yeah, there was a lot of yelling, actually. Like, uncomfortable amount of yelling, to be honest.
Really?
For what it was. But I understand, like, they're getting annoyed.
For a match that you're not getting paid for.
Yeah, well, it's just, I'm just...
You're doing them a favor, aren't you?
In a sense. But I'm just asking, like, can I do this? Can I do this? And they're just, like, yelling about it. It's like, it's a little much. But, I get it. I guess I'm...
Was it a high-stress show?
I guess the fact that there was a lot to plan, I guess, and they're trying to plan other stuff, and we'd always be like, oh, can we do this? Because we also asked, like, we couldn't use the bottom rope. Can we take apart, like, the ring apron? And then, like, they just almost lost a gasket on that one.
Sounds like you were being a real nuisance.
Well, I'm just trying to get the most out of the match where I have nothing to work with, So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, maybe I'm being a nuisance, but I'm trying to make this match the best I possibly can.
Well, I respect your effort, Johnny. I respect your effort. As for my part of the pre-show, there's been some New Japan going on. The road to Dontaku is happening. But I want to give a full recap. Like, we don't have a lot of time here on the pre-show to really devote to New Japan, so I'm going to do a New Japan podcast next week. As, we've had some matches. Kanemaru and Desperado beat Bushi and, what's his name? Bushi's tag team partner.
Oh, Kenny Omega.
No. Ibu. Not. No.
Not the Handsome Lovers, no?
No. Golden Lovers, first of all. No, I'm not talking about Kota Ibushi. I'm talking about Bushi.
Oh.
Bushi from Los Ingobernables. The guy with the cat. You know who I'm talking about, John. Man. You do not know enough about New Japan Pro Wrestling. When I'm going to you with a name that I just can't think of, usually I can count on you, but here I just can't. God damn it. The hell was the guy's name? I'll get it in a second here. But they're from Los Ingobernables, and they did not win the junior tag team titles. I'm still catching up on everything that's happened. I think I'm one show behind. I haven't seen the April 24th show yet in its entirety. Hiromu Takahashi is the guy I'm talking about. Bushi's tag team partner. Hiromu and Bushi lost to Desperado and Kanemaru, and that was the first big match of this tour. We've been having a lot of these matches between Los Ingobernables and Suzuki-gun, and then Chaos and guys with Tanahashi, like Tanahashi and Michael Elgin and Juice Robinson kind of all teaming up. There was one really good match. It was Okada and Will Ospreay and... Was it Will Ospreay? I think it was Will Ospreay and Gato against the coach and... Man, I'm going to get to it here. I'll give you the exact match it was. There's been some entertaining stuff, but the big matches aren't up yet. The big matches are coming up a little bit later on. Yes, it was Jay White. Sorry, it wasn't Will Ospreay. In this case, it was Jay White. It was Okada, White, and Gato losing to Tanahashi, Finlay, and the coach Ryusuke Taguchi. I thought that match was a lot of fun. Saw some good stuff between the Killer Elite Squad, Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Lance Archer. They team with their leader of Suzuki-gun, Minoru Suzuki, taking on Tetsuya Naito, Evil, and Sonata. So we're having a lot of these multi-man tag matches. We're still in the build for these big matches that are going to happen. There's one big match happening this weekend, or I think two big matches this weekend to look out for. It'll be Naito versus Suzuki for the Intercontinental Championship, and it will also be the Killer Elite Squad, Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Lance Archer, challenging Evil and Sonata for the IWGP Tag Team titles. That's taking place early Sunday morning.
This is hyped with that promo where Suzuki said he was going to murder Naito?
Yes.
Nice. Classic.
They've been working a lot of 6-man and 10-man tags against each other, and it's all building to this one match here on April 29th, where it'll be Naito versus Suzuki for the Intercontinental title, which is very fun. That's going to be a great match. I can't wait for that. And then coming up a little bit later on, in the next couple weeks, we have Dontaku on May 3rd. Kota Ibushi takes on Cody Rhodes there, and Hangman Page taking on Kenny Omega on May the 3rd. And then on May the 4th, it's the big show. It'll be Kushida challenging Will Ospreay for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, and the heavyweight title on the line in the main event. Okada defending against Tanahashi.
What's the big one?
That's the big one. That's next week. So this coming week, like at some point, probably around Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to drop a New Japan podcast kind of recapping everything that's happened on the road to Dontaku. I'll recap Dontaku, and I will preview the big Dontaku event on May 4th, and May 3rd and May 4th, featuring Okada versus Tanahashi as the big match.
This is before or after you've seen Raw and Smackdown in Montreal?
Yeah, it'll probably be after. I'll probably drop it after, so like Wednesday-ish.
Big week, my friend.
Yes, that's right. Raw and Smackdown will be here in our hometown. Got tickets for both. Should be fun. I look forward to meeting a lot of the listeners at the show. I know a lot of guys have been reaching out saying that they're going to be at the show and they'd like to meet and stuff like that, and that would be great. If we could figure out some sort of meetup. I don't know how we would do it, but it would be cool to meet a lot of you at the show. So if you're there, send me a tweet and we'll meet up.
Well, this isn't the first time. I mean, there's been other WWE shows in the past, no?
What do you mean?
Where you've met people?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's always good to meet people. It's fun, man. I like meeting the Wrestling Uncensored universe. I like it.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know about that because you had a little incident on Twitter. So,
well, he's not part of the Wrestling Uncensored universe, that guy. The angry Saudi?
Yes.
Yeah, there was an angry guy from Saudi Arabia saying, "Hey, man, women are going to drive soon. Take it easy." Women are going to drive soon. What's been going on in Saudi Arabia?
You might want to start from the beginning, maybe, how this all started.
Nah.
Well, because why? Because you realize now that you were at fault or something? Or?
I wasn't.
Okay.
It's just a long story, isn't it?
Not really. I mean, I think you tweeted something about John Cena, about how he's like sucking up to the Saudi Arabian audience with his promo.
Well, yeah, the Saudi Arabian government as well. After Cena had that match, he cut this big promo about Saudi Arabia and how great it is and the hospitality and everything's been so great. So I tweeted out, John Cena hit 2 attitude adjustments for the 1-2-3 on Triple H. Not their best match. Cena now on the mic sucking up to Saudi Arabia. Gross. And I would say that had he been cutting a Super America promo or a whatever. But no. So this guy on Twitter, I don't really want to give him that much like play right now. I don't know why you're even bringing him up. I don't want to even dignify him with a piece of audio on Wrestling Uncensored. He doesn't deserve to be mentioned on the pre-show. Why am I even mentioning this guy, John? Why are we getting into this? No, you know what? I'm not going into this. If you want to see it, go to my Twitter feed, look it up, see what I said to him. He's a real jabroni. He told me, all right, I'll say one thing that he said to me. I'm not going to say his Twitter name, but so after I said that about Saudi Arabia, he said, so if I compliment someone, should it be sucking up? Not making a good impression, maybe. Please stop watching and go drink tea, maybe. Never have I been insulted in that way, where somebody who told me to stop watching the wrestling show and go drink tea, maybe.
You know, it's funny how you just seem to upset a lot of people for some reason.
Just this guy. Only this guy.
And the boxing community.
You always go back to the boxing community. I did upset a few boxing fans, yes. That did happen one time. They seem to be over it, though. You're the one who keeps bringing it up.
They're over it because they blocked you, so they don't have to worry about you anymore.
Yes, everybody in boxing has blocked me on Twitter, John. That's right. What are you talking about?
You rile people up. That's what you do, it seems.
You rile me up, if anything, John. You're just riling me up right now. You're really starting to piss me off right now.
Take it easy, Jeff Jarrett.
Don't piss me off, slapnuts. Slapnuts. That was the best part of Jeff Jarrett's Hall of Fame induction, when Christian called him slapnuts.
That was a good part, too, yeah. The Owen Hart stuff was good, too, when we talk about Owen.
Yeah, that was good.
He just had a good... He had just had a very good, Hall of Fame induction, period.
Jeez. Okay, can we full disclosure on this, John? We're watching the Greatest Royal Rumble as we speak. We're watching the end of the match. For timing, we had to watch it now. We got things to do after this. Oh,
that was a great brain bust.
It was horrible.
That was a wonderful brain
Bobby
bust.
Lashley just brainbusted Big Cass. It looked like he killed him.
It was supposed to be a stalling suplex, but it was a great brain bust.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a stalling suplex, but he couldn't hold him up for that long. And down goes Big Cass. Daniel Bryan came in at number 1. He is at the end of this thing. His chest is just red, bloodied. And he's still going strong. Who's left in this Greatest Royal Rumble? Bryan, Shane, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho.
I guess Sami Zayn wasn't in this because he got taken out on Raw. So.
Lashley and Big Cass. Sami Zayn was not in the Greatest Royal Rumble.
But it makes sense because he said he was hurt. If you saw the promo, after Raw.
What happened to him?
Because Braun Strowman, they took a beating on Raw.
They did.
So.
Oh, Braun Strowman's still in the match, too. Or is he not? No, he got eliminated. Did he get eliminated?
I think he's still in. He was never thrown over the top. Shane's eliminated right there.
God.
Shane with a great bump. Thank you, Shane.
Shane McMahon off the top rope, through the announce table, eliminated from the Greatest Rumble. This has been far from the Greatest Rumble. It's been one of the worst Rumbles I've ever seen.
I wouldn't say that.
It's not been good.
It's not been bad.
It's not the greatest. It's not been bad. It's been pretty bad.
I've had some moments where I've been like, wow, this is great. The Titus moment was amazing.
When he fell.
It was tremendous. The Brock moment, too. Brock getting speared out of the cage. We should talk about this on the actual show, though.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, well, then let's do the actual show.
All right.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, this is Mick Foley, and you are listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
Hey, this is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and you are listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
What's going on, y'all? This is WWE superstar Kofi Kingston, and you're listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
Aw, yeah. Welcome to Wrestling Uncensored. I am Dave Simon. He is Johnny North. Here on TSN 690 every Saturday night. WrestlingUncensored.net is the website. You can also follow us on Twitter. Follow me at Dave Simon MMA. Follow the big man, Johnny North, at North Genesis. You want to see him wrestle? You want to know where he's going to be? Check him out on Twitter at North Genesis for all his info. And you can also download every episode of Wrestling Uncensored, the world-famous Wrestling Uncensored pre-show. Always a part of this show that we have podcast only over at WrestlingUncensored.net. on our YouTube feed, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net with the .net spelled out, DOTNET. And you also have our iTunes feed, Google Play, wherever you get your podcast, Ringside Report, Wrestling Uncensored. Everything is there. Subscribe. Give us a comment. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Hook us up, and we'll keep hooking you up with big-time product from Wrestling Uncensored. And a big weekend, a big week if you're a Montreal wrestling fan. WWE Monday Night Raw and WWE Tuesday Night SmackDown Live rolling into the Bell Center on Monday and Tuesday. A double dose of WWE TV fresh from Saudi Arabia. They come all the way from the desert to the Great White North here in Canada. Raw's going to be here Monday night. Ronda Rousey will be in Montreal performing at the Bell Center for the very first time in her career. Ronda's going to be here. Brock Lesnar might be here on Raw. Who knows? Brock Lesnar is still the Universal Champion of the WWE. Brock Lesnar retains the Universal Championship at the Greatest Royal Rumble, the big show that just went down yesterday in the afternoon in Saudi Arabia. Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns doing battle in a steel cage, and Roman hitting a spear on Brock, spearing him through the cage, Brock hitting the ground first, thus exiting the cage first and winning the match.
Odd.
It was kind of a weird finish, but I think we both liked it. I think the finish was pretty good because it was a little bit unexpected, and it kept Roman strong while at the same time keeping the title on Brock. I didn't expect the match to finish that way. And I also, again, didn't really expect Brock to retain the Universal title. I thought he might drop it at Mania. When he didn't, I thought he was for sure going to drop it here at the Greatest Rumble. But he did not. Brock Lesnar, still the Universal Champion. And now you wonder how long Brock is going to stay in the WWE. And what is going to happen with this championship, the main championship, the top title on Raw, the Universal title that Brock has held now for over a year. When does he drop the belt? And who does he drop it to? Because at this point, it feels like it won't be Roman Reigns. As surprising as that is, I think that's where we're headed, and I'm not mad at that. We all know we're not the biggest Roman Reigns fans here on Wrestling Uncensored, and a lot of people, a lot of the Wrestling Uncensored universe does not enjoy Roman Reigns. A lot of the WWE universe does not like the fact that he seems to be the chosen one of the WWE. And now, maybe he's not. Maybe he's not. Maybe the WWE decided, like, okay, this Roman Reigns thing isn't working. The fans are rejecting him. I guess he's not the guy.
It's surprising, but if you're not a fan of Roman Reigns, you must be really happy right now because he's not going to be the guy. Like, he'll still be in the main event scene of Raw. He's still wrestling Samoa Joe probably in the main event of Backlash, but not for the championship. It's very surprising that they're going this direction. I don't know what you do with Roman after now. Like, if he can't be Universal Champion, what does he do?
I don't know. I think he keeps losing, and who knows? I don't really care what happens to Roman. I understand he's a big part of the WWE, and he's a big star on Raw, but I don't feel like he matters that much. Not to me, anyways. And not to a lot of wrestling fans. Like, okay, Roman's not champion. Who cares? Roman can feud with Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental title. Roman can team up with somebody. and be in a tag team, in the tag team division. I don't care about Roman Reigns. And I'm happy now that he's not a focal point of the show. Because he's not a guy that requires a lot of attention from the wrestling fan, because he's just not that compelling of a performer. So who cares about where Roman's going from here on in? I care more about what Brock Lesnar is going to do and what happens to the Universal title.
Well, I think Roman still has a claim for the championship because the match ended very controversial because Roman's feet touched first. Brock did escape the cage first, but Roman's feet touched the floor first. So I think Roman's going to have that claim. Problem is, when do you get Brock and Roman in the ring again? What hoops do Roman have to go through in order to get another match? It might take months for that to happen. I'm not expecting Brock Lesnar to wrestle again, probably not till near SummerSlam. So you're not going to have a champion again for months on end?
It's looking that way.
It's amazing that they're doing that. But they have a new champion now on Raw, so it's fine, right?
They have a new champion?
Well, didn't Braun just become the champion of Saudi Arabia?
Well, Braun winning the greatest Royal Rumble, he won a trophy and a title belt. I don't think that's a title belt that'll be recognized full-time in the WWE, though.
Probably not, but I wouldn't be surprised if they pull that off. Why not? Because you don't have a full-time Universal Champion now
So
on the show.
Brock will be the Saudi Arabia champion, and that'll be something that people want? How can anybody take it from him? He won the greatest Royal Rumble. They're not going back to Saudi Arabia. I don't think that's going to be a title belt that we see on Raw Monday night here in Canada. I don't think that's going to happen. As far as Brock Lesnar goes, though, I wouldn't be surprised if he holds the title now until SummerSlam in August. And maybe we do see him face Bobby Lashley in SummerSlam. You think about it, Brock Lesnar is likely heading back to the UFC. The time frame on that is unknown. He's going to have to start getting tested at random by the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. He has to re-enter their testing pool. So until he does that, he can't even think about fighting, or we can't think about him in that octagon, right? It's going to be at least another 6 months before Brock is allowed to step back into the UFC, 6 months of testing before he can fight again. And at this point, Brock has not stepped back into the testing pool. So Brock is still a WWE wrestler and not really looking at the UFC. But I think we all expect Brock Lesnar to fight again in the UFC. And given his limited schedule with the WWE, and given that Brock was able to stay with the WWE and still fight in the UFC the last time he fought for them, I see no reason why Brock couldn't do the same thing here. Why Brock couldn't start training for the UFC, get back into the USADA testing program, maybe drop the title to Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam or not, beat Bobby Lashley, and then go fight in the UFC in December. I could see Brock staying with the WWE, staying with the WWE Universal title, even through a UFC fight. At this point, I could see Brock facing Lashley at SummerSlam, beating him, facing somebody else in November at Survivor Series, beating them, and then fighting somebody like Daniel Cormier or Stipe Miocic in December for the UFC. The only problem with that is, if you're the WWE, do you really want your Universal Champion, a guy who's going to beat everybody on your roster, all the top guys, for 2 years, then go into the UFC and get his ass kicked? Is that a really smart move by the WWE? Because what that tells me is, well, you see this guy Brock Lesnar? Yeah, well, he's better than Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman and Samoa Joe and AJ Styles and everybody in the WWE. But you know who's better than everybody in the WWE? Pretty much any top heavyweight in the UFC. It doesn't make the WWE roster look good if Brock Lesnar goes and gets beat up severely in the UFC, which is a very likely scenario. Against Daniel Cormier, against Stipe Miocic, if that's really the fight that the UFC is going to throw at him, well, you're going to make Daniel Cormier or Stipe Miocic look stronger and tougher than your entire roster in the WWE, and that's just not smart business. So if Brock is going to go to the UFC, he should drop the title before he does so. Because having your top champion, a guy who's been champion for over a year, go into the UFC and get beat up is not a good look for your company. So, once again, Brock should drop the title. He probably should have dropped the title yesterday afternoon in Saudi Arabia to Roman Reigns. But he did not. So we are in this predicament where Brock is still the champion. And you wonder how long it's going to go on for. He's not dropping the title next week at Backlash. He's not even scheduled to appear at Backlash. So when does Brock drop the title and against who?
I think the who is the biggest question, because you say Bobby Lashley, and yeah, I think you and I and a lot of people who watch MMA, they want to see that kind of match go down, but if you watch WWE television, it's not really going in that direction right now. Bobby Lashley is there, but he's not really that big of a star yet.
It's getting there, though.
Braun Strowman, I could see that, him and Brock. I know it's been done already, but the way they're pushing Braun right now, I definitely could see Braun beat Brock. Bobby, he's just wrestling. There's no storylines. He's not getting promo time whatsoever. They're not really pushing Bobby. He's just there.
So far. But he's featured, and you look at him, and if you know who Bobby Lashley is, you know that he's the only guy on that roster who could stand up to Brock Lesnar and actually have a fighting chance. I don't care how big you are, Braun Strowman, Big Cass. Who was that guy in the Royal Rumble? Bada Boombe?
Yeah.
What was that guy's name?
I can't remember exactly. But
that guy was a big guy, Bada Boombe. But, Bada Boombe ain't beating Brock Lesnar. But Bobby Lashley, he's probably not beating Brock Lesnar in a fight, but he's got a better chance than anybody else on the roster.
This is the problem in a sense. You've pushed Brock Lesnar so strong. It's hard to believe that anybody can beat him at this point.
That's right. Not even the great Roman Reigns can beat him at this point.
I know you said it feels like it's building towards Taker and Brock, but maybe it is actually at this point, because what else are you going to do?
Taker.
He came back, right? He's back on his winning ways. Why not? I don't want to see it, but maybe.
Taker going out as champion is not the worst idea. Because he's The Undertaker. If anybody should retire as WWE champion or Universal champion, it's a guy like The Undertaker, who looked good at the Rumble. He looked better against Rusev in that casket match than he has in a very long time.
I think what helped was the match with Cena, kind of work off the rust a bit. And it's okay, this works. And I think Cena kind of goes to show, Cena's kind of lazy a bit. Cena just does the A to Z, and that's it. And I think with Rusev, he wanted to make Rusev look good. I don't think Cena really cared about WrestleMania. He just wanted the moment.
I don't know about that. I think you're just taking a shot at Cena because you can and you want to.
If you watch John Cena's matches, you could tell he's just not the same John Cena anymore. You saw it against Triple H. He's lost quite a few steps.
Yeah, okay, but you can also say that Rusev is in his prime and he's able to help Undertaker to a better match. Cena is just not physically able to do what a guy like Rusev can do at this point.
And that's why Cena went the easy way, just make it a squash. I'm just saying that's what happened.
Okay. But The Undertaker still looked good against Rusev, and it makes you think that The Undertaker still has a few good matches left in him.
With a guy like Rusev who really wants to do well and push it hard, yeah. But him against Brock, that might be a rough match for Taker.
I don't see it happening.
I don't know if it happened either, but I'm just saying, who's strong right now? It's Braun, it's Brock, and it's The Undertaker. Those guys are who are above everybody. You want Daniel Bryan to be there, but he's not there yet.
Not quite. But he's also on the wrong brand if we're looking for somebody to take out Brock Lesnar.
If that's going to happen, you'd have to wait until the Rumble, probably. So then Daniel would win and then get the title shot against Brock at WrestleMania.
Is it a possibility that Brock Lesnar holds the WWE Universal title till WrestleMania 35 next year?
I think so.
I think that'd be a mistake. Unless Brock isn't going to the UFC. But do you agree with me that Brock Lesnar, if he is going to the UFC, should drop the title first?
Yeah, but I could see him not. Why not? So he loses in the UFC, they're tough guys in the UFC.
Yeah, but it's your top champion going to the UFC and losing. So that guy should be the new Universal Champion.
Didn't Cain Velasquez say that or something? He wants to come to WWE and beat Brock for another title?
Yeah,
something?
he's like, I could come to WWE and beat Brock for more gold. And he could if he wanted to, because Cain Velasquez made Brock look silly in that octagon. So not only for that reason, the fact that Brock could lose in the octagon, but that Brock, as Universal Champion, has a certain duty to wrestle. And in a fight, bad things can happen. He can get seriously hurt, and he could not be able to fulfill his wrestling duties. And that's a real problem for the WWE Universal Champion. Brock could tear his ACL in a fight and have to go through surgery and rehab and out for a year. What happens to the Universal Championship out for a year? Well, I guess you strip Brock of the title and, you crown a new champion. But meantime, Brock never dropped the title to make that new champion seem important. So you kind of shoot yourself in the foot there.
But right now you got nothing to worry about because he has to finish his suspension, right? And that's 6 months. So you got a bunch of time before he even gets to that point.
But that's what I'm saying. When it does get to that point, it's time to pull the trigger and take the title off Brock. It just is. You can't send your Universal Champion into the UFC to take a beating.
We thought against Mark Hunt he was going to take a beating. He didn't lose.
Doesn't mean he can't lose. He did technically win, but it's called a no contest because he was on performance-enhancing drugs.
But there was the concern, that's your main event of SummerSlam, and he's going to go in a loser. He had that concern, but they still did it.
Did he main event SummerSlam too?
Against Randy Orton.
Against Randy. Not for the title, though.
Not for the title, but that was still the main match, and they hyped it on the UFC even.
Yeah. It was a big match. But Brock won. So it went all right. Brock won, and he came out of the fight relatively unscathed. Fought in July, wrestled in August. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm saying it's a very risky proposition. And I'm saying it's not worth the risk for the Universal Championship. It's not worth putting your champion in that kind of crossfire. So you take the title off Brock. That's all I'm saying. You should take the title off Brock Lesnar if he is to go into the UFC. But at this point, it doesn't seem like he's going into the UFC, so keep the title on the guy, I guess. Because as we're talking about it, it's not like there is a wealth of challengers to take the title off Brock right now. There's nobody really out there to take the title off of him on the Raw brand. At this point in time, Brock is the most logical champion. And if they're going to keep the title on him to SummerSlam, after SummerSlam, as long as he's staying in the WWE, it's fine by me.
Well, you've built Brock up so strong, you need pretty much your top face, I think, to beat him. And your top face is Daniel Bryan. He's not on the same show. So until that happens, he shouldn't drop the championship. Unless they do an amazing job with Bobby Lashley and push him to the moon. I'm waiting for that to happen. It could happen, like you said, but they got to start working on that.
Well, he had a decent showing in the Greatest Royal Rumble. Lashley was on Raw, teaming with Braun Strowman against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That was pretty terrifying there. Braun Strowman hitting some awful shoulder tackles on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They took a terrible, terrible beating. Sami wasn't even in the Greatest Royal Rumble. I hope he's going to be all right for Raw and SmackDown in his hometown. But that was scary stuff. I felt like Braun Strowman got a little too excited in that tag team match. Maybe the hype of Bobby Lashley and seeing Lashley hit those guys hard, he got a little excited and wanted to do the same. But was it me, or did Braun Strowman go a little too heavy on those shoulder tackles?
Well, Kevin's very good at selling, so he went with the overselling a bit there. And you know, Sami Zayn's one of the best bumpers in the business. So it's just, when someone's going really strong and you have a great bumper, it just looks really good.
That's it?
I think so. I don't think they were really hurt. I mean, I'm sure it tickled quite a bit, but...
Because Braun was coming at them full steam.
Yeah, I'm sure they felt it, but I don't think it killed them as much as it did. I mean, Kevin was there. He was fine, and it looked like Kevin took the worst of that.
I just picture being Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn, you know, before the show. You go to the match listing, you see who you're up against, and you're like, oh, my God. We got Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley tonight? That's not an easy night.
But that played out well because they had the Sami and Kevin show with Kurt Angle, and they were kind of teasing Kurt Angle, so Kurt Angle put them in that match. I thought that was well put together.
I thought the Sami and Kevin show was fun.
I hope it's something that hopefully continues. It should. It needs to.
Sami and Kevin are the best.
On Raw.
Yeah, they're the best thing on Raw, by far.
Problem is their win-loss record, it's looking pretty awful these days. They're not seeming like they're top guys. They should be top guys on Raw, but it doesn't feel like they are.
I was disappointed to see them fall so hard to Braun and Lashley. Like, they just took a beating and lost the match. It wasn't even competitive.
But again, plays into the story because Sami couldn't make the Greatest Rumble because his head hurt too much.
Yeah, but from the beating.
Well, yeah, that's it. That's storytelling. It's good. It works. And hopefully...
Yeah, but it makes Sami and Kevin look like they can't compete with Braun Strowman or Bobby Lashley. You know, Braun and Bobby are your main event scene, and Kevin and Sami, if they can't compete, well, they're not in the main event.
And that's the sad part that we have right now. It's very unfortunate, but yeah, that's where we're at.
They're the two best wrestlers on the show, not really being used that way. It was the new Raw this week, right?
It was, new SmackDown too. But no Paige.
Yeah, no Paige, no Shane McMahon to direct traffic on SmackDown. I wonder why.
I think Paige apparently was in the UK for something, so...
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fine. They don't have to be there every week.
Well, the first show of the new era kind of thing, like you would expect it, but whatever.
It was the first show of the new era of Raw and SmackDown, of course, because of the Superstar shakeup. And we saw some different things go on this week, like Chad Gable getting a win over Jinder Mahal. A couple months ago on SmackDown, that would have been unfathomable, right? That's never happening. Jinder was the champion a few months ago, and Gable was, you know, in a tag team, but not really going anywhere as far as singles competition. And here he is. A few months later, they're on a different brand. The Raw brand not looking so good for Jinder. Jinder losing the U.S. title to Jeff Hardy last week, losing to Chad Gable on Raw this week, and having the, you know, until Titus fell, it was the botch of the night with Jeff Hardy at the Greatest Royal Rumble. Jeff goes up to hit the Whisper in the Wind and misses it completely. Jinder was not in the right spot. Jinder sees Jeff fall for the Whisper in the Wind, and then Jinder falls, gets hit with a Phantom Whisper in the Wind, and then Jeff covers him for a 2 count. Terrible botch there by Jinder in that match. Jinder not having a good time since his move over to Raw.
But you notice that they covered for Jinder. For Titus, they completely buried him. And that might become a thing with Titus now, where we might just see him in segments where he trips or falls. That might become his stick.
Wow. Poor Titus. That was rough. Titus O'Neil running to the ring for the Greatest Royal Rumble, falls down just as he's about to get into the ring and, slides under the ring. It was so funny. But you didn't see it. When it happened, we didn't see it. You just heard commentary laughing, and then they start showing replays of different camera angles so you could see Titus fall. Totally embarrassing the guy. But, I think it was the best moment of that 50-man Royal Rumble.
They showed that replay more than any other replay on the whole show. I thought we saw that at least 4 or 5 times.
It was the best thing on the show.
I don't know.
Was it the best thing on the show?
I disagree. I thought the Brock bump was pretty good. Brock looked like he was dead after that.
Yeah, the spear through the cage that Brock took looked pretty rough, which is good. You don't see Brock take big bumps very often. It's usually Brock hitting people with things, and this time Brock took the brunt of the violence.
And I enjoyed the physicality of the ladder match. I enjoyed that quite a bit.
I thought that was match of the night.
Yeah, definitely.
Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, and The Miz fatal 4-way ladder match that Seth Rollins wound up winning to retain the Intercontinental Championship. Thought that match was the best match of the night at the Greatest Royal Rumble. Not too many title changes on the card. Really only one title, I guess, changed hands, but it was vacant anyways, right? The Raw Tag Team titles won by Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, the Deleters of Worlds, beating The Bar, which was quite obvious because The Bar, they're now on SmackDown, so obviously they're not going to win the Raw Tag Team titles. Jeff Hardy was the U.S. champion. He's on SmackDown with that title. Jinder's on Raw. It was obvious Jinder wasn't going to win. And that Intercontinental Championship match, Miz and Samoa Joe are on SmackDown. Seth Rollins and Finn Balor on Raw. That IC title stays on Raw. So, we had a lot of titles on the line, but nothing really changed. Nothing really happened. I thought the one title that would change hands might be the Universal Championship, but it did not. Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles for the WWE title went to a double countout. They're going to wrestle again at Backlash, so this was just kind of a nothing match between those two. It was a very uneventful show from the WWE. Nothing really happened. My biggest takeaway, honestly, is, okay, Brock is still champion, and The Undertaker looked good. Those are my two biggest takeaways from the Greatest Rumble. Those are the things that I learned watching this show.
It's not that the Daivari brothers are back together, no?
Who cares? I learned that the Saudis really hate Iran. I had no idea how much heat Iran got in Saudi Arabia, but they had some tryout winners from Saudi Arabia talking about becoming WWE superstars, and then Arya Daivari, and his brother Sean Daivari making his return with an Iranian flag and saying things about Iran being better than Saudi Arabia, and the Saudis did not like that. The most heat that anybody got on the whole show were the Daivari brothers from Iran. Kind of surprised we didn't see Daivari reunite with the great Khali. Khali was in the Greatest Rumble.
Not too long, but yeah, that's true.
Yeah. He was a big surprise. I guess he was the biggest surprise, other than the NXT folk that we never really heard of.
Well, it was cool seeing guys like Roderick Strong in there. I thought he had a good showing, strong showing.
I like Tony Nese from 205 Live coming into the ring while Finn Balor and Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler were in there. Nese looked the same size as all of those guys. He's supposed to be a cruiserweight, but he looked bigger than a couple of them.
The Kofi near elimination, it was okay. Wasn't the best one, for sure.
Yeah.
He's just on Xavier's back, and Xavier brought him back in the ring. Okay. They've done better.
Overall, the greatest Royal Rumble was a disappointment.
Well, we got to see Jericho again. That was cool.
Yeah. Daniel Bryan had a nice showing in the Rumble.
You got Daniel Bryan versus Kurt Angle for a little bit.
A very little bit. Would be cool to see it one-on-one sometime down the road, right?
Kurt Angle looked his best in this showing right here at the Rumble.
He did look pretty good. He looked pretty good tonight. I was happy, or last night rather. I was happy to see Kurt Angle in there looking decent. Shane McMahon taking a pretty nice bump as well.
I think maybe it goes to show that Kurt in tag matches, it's probably not best suited for him. But when he's allowed just to do what he wants kind of thing, that's probably better for Kurt. So maybe a singles match instead of always putting him in tag.
Yeah. A singles match against Daniel Bryan would be fun. I don't know how you make that one happen, but
yeah,
it'd be fun.
SummerSlam, it can be Raw versus SmackDown, no?
Yeah, well, Daniel Bryan's got to get past Big Cass first, right? Big Cass eliminated Bryan from the Greatest Royal Rumble, and they're going to wrestle at Backlash. How about the show opener, Triple H and John Cena? Cena beating Triple H. A pretty lengthy match. Both those guys looking quite a few steps slower than they used to be.
Well, Triple H still had the best entrance on anyone on the show, I think, without
His
question.
entrance was awesome. Taker's entrance was pretty good, too.
Yeah, Taker had a really good entrance, too. There's no question. And I think Brock had some good fireworks. Roman had great fireworks, too, by the way. A lot of guys had some good fireworks.
The fireworks show was pretty crazy. They went all out in Saudi Arabia.
Quite spectacular, actually. The setup was really nice. And the opener was the opener. I mean, it wasn't the greatest match, but it got the crowd going.
It did. Two big stars, John Cena and Triple H, right? But overall, the greatest Royal Rumble, not the greatest Royal Rumble.
I thought it was okay. 5 on 10.
Yeah, I'd give it like a 4.
Wow. I didn't think it was that bad, but okay.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty weak show overall.
My main problem is the length. It doesn't need to be 5 hours. I don't understand why you keep seeing these marathon wrestling shows. We just had 7 hours.
If it's going to be 5 hours, at least make it better.
I think they tried.
Did they?
Yeah, I think they tried. It just didn't work out that way. Because it's too long. Cut it down.
Am I watching too much New Japan and I'm spoiled?
Yes.
Because I feel like the match quality here is just subpar.
Of course.
I'm spoiled.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not even the big shows in New Japan, and just the wrestling in general is just more solid.
You enjoy more of their style. I understand.
It's better. Suzuki and Naito this weekend. That's the biggest match of the weekend, by far.
I think a huge problem, too, is the AJ Nakamura matches. They haven't really delivered yet. I mean, they've been okay, but okay is not great.
They still haven't beat the Wrestle Kingdom match.
So there you go.
Their match in Japan was better than their matches in WWE.
You expect it's going to get better, but, I mean, the story's gotten better, but that's about it.
I like Nakamura's new theme song. They've added some Japanese rap to his instrumental song, and I think that's to stop people from singing along to keep him as that strong heel.
I actually think people will be more into the song now than before, but
you can't sing along because you don't know the words.
Yeah, it's harder for that, but still.
Before you could just go da na 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 na. You can't do that anymore.
They could do it.
Da na 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 na.
They could still do it after the song plays. They'll still do it, I think.
I don't know if they will. Heel Nakamura, punch you in the groin, Nakamura. Punched AJ in the groin at one point. I thought he was going to win the match.
Nice false finish.
It was decent. I think they could do a good match at Backlash. I think it'll be all right.
No stipulation. They should have added, like, no DQ or something.
That may happen, because this one went to a double count out. Maybe they make this one false count anywhere.
Something.
I hope so. I think if you gave these guys more room within the rules, they could have a better match.
Well, mainly in the ring, that's what I want to see them. But, I mean, if you add a little bit of extra, salad dressing, I have no problem with that.
We got some matches announced this week for Backlash. Backlash is next weekend on the WWE Network, next Sunday. We're going to get to Backlash and what is coming up right here on TSN 690. It's Wrestling Uncensored.
Hey, this is Antonio Cesaro, and you're listening to Wrestling Uncensored. This is Santino Marella, and you're listening to Wrestling Uncensored.
Hey, this is Trish Stratus, and you're listening to Wrestling Uncensored. People listening, Stratisfaction is guaranteed.
Aw, yeah. Welcome back. It is Wrestling Uncensored. I'm Dave Simon. He is Johnny North. WrestlingUncensored.net is our website. Here on TSN 690, every Saturday night, talking professional wrestling. WWE Greatest Royal Rumble in the books. We've got WWE Backlash coming up next weekend. And Daniel Bryan will be going one-on-one with Big Cass. Carmella will be defending her SmackDown Women's title against Charlotte Flair. Nia Jax defending the Raw Women's title against Alexa Bliss. Roman Reigns going one-on-one with Samoa Joe. Seth Rollins defending the Intercontinental title against The Miz. And AJ Styles defending the WWE title against Shinsuke Nakamura. Will we get a Ronda Rousey match at Backlash? Ronda versus Mickie James.
Not a tag? Actually, I thought maybe a tag, but...
Well, Alexa's already facing Nia. So who's Mickie going to tag with?
That's a good point.
You saw this week... Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, Sarah Logan, Ruby Riott, and Liv Morgan all teaming up in the main event of Raw. Sasha Banks, Bayley, Ember Moon, Natalya, and Nia Jax, their opponents. The heels, Morgan and the Riott Squad, Alexa Bliss and Mickie James actually won when Ronda put an armbar on Mickie James. Natty had injured her knee during the match. Mickie kept attacking her. Even when the medical staff was there, Mickie was kicking Natty. So Ronda made the save, but then Mickie kicked Ronda from behind, which upset Ronda. She then put the armbar on Mickie, which ended the match. Everybody else on the other side got taken out by Nia Jax doing a dive onto them, so that kind of let Ronda be the focus of the match.
You call it a dive. It was more just her jumping off the apron.
Whatever.
Dive.
She jumped, kind of. She fell off the apron onto some people. But yeah, Ronda attacked Mickie James, and that was really the big finish for Raw this week. I'm expecting Ronda to get a match one-on-one with Mickie James for Backlash.
I guess the singles match now, and then later on you do the tag match when Natty can wrestle and Alexa's not in another match. But yeah, it doesn't end here, I don't think.
I'm excited for it. Ronda in her first singles match, that's going to be a big selling point for Backlash.
But that's it. I mean, we're pretty much a week away. Are they going to give us a Ronda match out of nowhere like that?
You hear that, Saudi Arabia? A women's match is the main selling point for a WWE pay-per-view. Saudi Arabia. Oh, but apparently some dude on Twitter told me, no, it's okay, because in June women will be allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia. So don't worry about them not wrestling or not being allowed to wrestle or go to the shows unaccompanied. Outrageous that the WWE... Crazy what $100 million will do for you. Oh, listen, pal, we really care about this women's evolution thing, and we're really behind the women and everything, but some rich guy in Saudi Arabia is going to give us $100 million, and we can't have any of our women wrestle. No women's staff, no women wrestlers. It's all about the money. But we're all about women's empowerment here in the WWE. Huh? What?
I believe the fan also said it's none of your business or concern and
go
away.
He told me to go away, to go drink tea, maybe. And he also, this guy on Twitter from Saudi Arabia got mad at me when I was questioning certain things. Anyways, shocking. told me not to concern myself with issues that aren't in my country. So if it doesn't happen in Canada, I shouldn't even pretend to know it exists. I should just ignore anything that happens outside of the Canadian borders, according to one dude on Twitter, which I disagree with strongly.
Well, it is a positive, though, that WWE is traveling to somewhere they haven't been to before, ever. I think that's great. Great for the fans there.
Has the WWE ever been to Uganda?
You got to give them $100 million. Give them $100 million.
Right. So is it really about exploring new countries and new cultures and new borders, or is it about, here's $100 million?
It's a little bit of both. But obviously the money helps a lot.
If ISIS gave Vince $100 million, he might do a show for them. And he kind of did.
That's a lot of conspiracy theories that you're throwing out there.
Let's get back to wrestling. I don't even want to anymore. Daniel Bryan, he's going to beat Big Cass at Backlash, right? He has to. And he has to, like, soundly.
He'll beat him, not soundly, though. I mean, he'll make him look good, but obviously because he got thrown out, he's going to get his revenge at Backlash. And he should, because it's kind of his first big match back, in a sense, on pay-per-view. And Big Cass, he got his moment already. So that's about all he should get on Daniel Bryan.
That's all he should get. He should lose. He will lose.
He got the over, too, this week. He laid out Daniel Bryan.
On SmackDown, yeah. Daniel Bryan was supposed to show up, right? Miz called him out for Miz TV. That was a weird segment. Miz calls out Daniel Bryan. Big Cass showed up instead, and Miz and Cass kind of got into it.
That was weird. I didn't get that. It didn't make any sense.
So apparently Daniel Bryan got beat up by Big Cass backstage.
I guess it was
Isn't that something Big Cass does a lot? Remember when he was doing that to Enzo?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, that's true.
And then remember when Big Cass beat himself up?
Yep.
Remember that? He faked his own beating backstage? Maybe Daniel Bryan faked this beating to just have beef with Big Cass. That's what Big Cass should claim. He'd be like, no, I didn't attack Daniel Bryan backstage. We're like, Big Cass, we all know you love attacking guys backstage. No, I didn't do it. I'm Big Cass. That promo that he cut, by the way, was terrible. He lacks confidence. You see it. There's something in his eyes where he's like, he says like, Daniel Bryan's a small guy, but he kind of looks away and he's got shifty eyes. You don't believe Big Cass. And that whole thing about, well, Daniel Bryan reminds me of me when I was 16 because I was small, and I hated myself when I was 16, so I want to beat myself up, so I'm beating up Daniel Bryan. Like, what? What the hell is that? That's your storyline? Terrible. Terrible. Not only is it a bad storyline, but the delivery from Big Cass was just awful. God.
Well, he was never great in promos. He was pretty much just the last line for Enzo.
So stop giving him a mic. Yeah, he's just the last line for Enzo. Where's Enzo? Weak. Weakness.
But if you're a tall guy, they're going to give you a shot.
Yep, because he's 7 feet tall, and you can't teach that. And guess what? Enzo wrote that line. Only thing Cass has ever done that's got over, and somebody else did it for him. Ridiculous. You know what was great on SmackDown this week? Not Big Cass. Shelton Benjamin.
Randy Orton, yeah.
He beat Randy Orton. I was surprised.
Well,
and it was a Singh brother that distracted Randy. Why is a Singh brother still beefing with Randy? Why is Jinder still beefing with Randy? Jinder is on Raw.
No, it's because he went after Jeff Hardy. Because Jeff Hardy and Jinder and Randy got in the way.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because the guy, the Singh brother, attacked Jeff Hardy because Jeff and Jinder wrestled at the Greatest Royal Rumble. And then Randy got distracted, which allowed Shelton to get the win.
That's it.
Still. The Singh brothers showing up. Jinder causing trouble on SmackDown. It was weird.
Well, what's even weirder, this is going to lead to Randy Orton versus Jeff Hardy now.
Is it?
Yeah, I know it's weird, but now Randy's going to be like, oh, Jeff cost him it. Because that guy showed up to hit Jeff.
At Backlash?
I could see it happen. Why not?
Here's what I think is going to happen. Randy, Jeff, Shelton triple threat at Backlash
Yeah, that's
for
fine.
the U.S. title.
That's cool.
That'd be a good match.
Yeah.
Randy Jeff 1-on-1, I don't know, but Randy Jeff Shelton, I like that.
Well,
That's real old school. That's a match that probably happened in 04. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not 04. Maybe 06.
singles-wise, not a triple threat, but I think that's fine. I think you're still going to get Randy and Jeff no matter what, somehow, some way, but triple threat's good too.
I'm happy with it. I'm not mad at Randy Orton feuding with Jeff Hardy. I think Randy and Jeff, it's good chemistry there. Remember when Jeff did that gigantic dive on Randy from like way, 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 way up on Raw?
Yes.
That was crazy. That was one of the biggest, that was probably the biggest dive Jeff ever did, right?
I don't
From
know.
the highest place? That was really high up.
I mean, he's done it at TLC as well, that high ladder.
Not as high as that. It was
No.
like a scaffolding or whatever he was on.
But did you see his landing on that TLC? That was right on his butt. Like, the scaffolding was protected.
Yeah.
TLC was not protected at all.
Speaking of protected and not protected, Asuka used to be protected. Now she's losing matches. The Iconics, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, teaming up with a win over Becky Lynch and Asuka. Becky took the fall, but still, Asuka going undefeated for so long, loses at WrestleMania, and now loses to the Iconics in a SmackDown tag team match.
So, where do you go now with Asuka? Because now it's 2 matches in a row, 2 losses.
Yeah, but it's not really another loss here for Asuka. I think Asuka is a little bit lost in the shuffle. I think her and Becky maybe feud with the Iconics for a bit. I don't know what you do with Asuka, but as long as Charlotte is feuding with Carmella for the women's title, I'm not sure. I think the Iconics right now is what Asuka's got to be occupied with.
I wouldn't be surprised they keep doing this little thing where it's like she loses, but she isn't like pinned or submitted, but it's maybe a DQ or a count out, something like that. I think that's going to keep happening for her. It sucks because she was pretty much the most over women's wrestler up till Ronda showed up, and now she's getting lost like Sasha Banks.
Yeah, it's odd. It's odd because Carmella on the top of SmackDown is not the best for the division. Her promo was not good this week. She talked about herself. She talked about winning the title, and she played that video package from last week twice. It was the same video package that she aired last week. She played it again because she said the crowd didn't respond nice enough to her the week before. So she plays a video package, and then the crowd doesn't respond, so she played it again. That was a real waste of time. Thank goodness I recorded SmackDown so I could just skip over the video package. I don't need to see that. And when Charlotte Flair showed up in the ring to sign the contract, it didn't get much better. Charlotte didn't really say much. Said woo, flipped the table, signed the contract.
I was actually happy it was kind of short and sweet when she did that, actually. Didn't drag it.
The Carmella promo was pretty terrible. And the Peyton Royce and Billie Kay promo on Becky and Asuka, also not very good. They'd been better before, but this week was weak. SmackDown was overall a pretty weak show. Not a great week in the WWE. The Greatest Royal Rumble was not a really strong show. SmackDown wasn't very good. Raw wasn't really good. Hopefully it's better this week because I'm going to be at both shows, Monday and Tuesday at the Bell Center.
Well, it's different because it's going to be a live experience for you, so it's different. And because they're rarely in Montreal, you expect something special to happen. Will something special happen for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, though, is the question. Because I was hoping Roman Reigns was actually going to win the Universal Championship, and Kevin was going to say, like, hey, where's my rematch? I never got it. I was hoping you were going to get Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens Universal title match this Monday. That's not going to happen now.
Best you could hope for would be Kevin and Sami taking on the Deleters of Worlds for the Raw Tag Team titles.
Too soon. I don't see it happening.
And even if it does, I don't see them winning. I hope we don't see an Elias versus Bobby Roode rematch. If there is, you can catch me at the concession stand because that's where I'll be. getting a drink or a T-shirt or whatever because that match was terrible.
Not Baron Corbin? They're not going to throw Baron Corbin involved with that? 'Cause
No.
Didn't he hit Elias as well at the Rumble?
I don't know. They had that match, though, on Raw this week. Elias beating Bobby Roode. What was that? What was all that stuff with Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas? They're trying to be a new entourage. They don't have The Miz anymore, so they're trying to, be Seth Rollins' backup or Finn Balor's backup. They weren't having it. Then they wound up wrestling Seth and Finn and losing to them.
That was like a nothing match, by the way. That was just like, wow, you straight up just lost. It was nothing compelling.
I saw some dude on the internet suggested that, I don't know who said it. I forget who said it. I'd give him credit, but I don't remember. I just saw like a passing idea on a message board where Damian Sandow would come back as The Miz on Raw, and then they would just hang out with him instead.
That's funny.
It's not a bad idea. What happened to that guy?
Nah, he kind of retired at this point, I
Did he?
think. Yeah. Well, he was in Impact Wrestling, and now he's just nowhere to be found.
So do Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas find a guy to be friends with, or do they just kind of slowly fade away? I think they fade away.
And be obsolete?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
They should be deleted.
Well, didn't Bray Wyatt tweet about how they should join them? So, yeah, why not?
They should be broken. They should be deleted. Hey, Bo is his brother. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Brother Bo.
It's probably the best use for both of them. They had their old theme songs at the Rumble, so maybe they're going back to their original gimmicks. I don't know.
Not great. Maybe Bo should reunite the three-man band. Oh, wait, no. Bo wasn't in that. It was Drew McIntyre. They just look alike.
They're all on the same show again, though.
Yes, the three-man band is all on the same show. Drew McIntyre cutting a weak promo this week on SmackDown. The hell was that? What is he thinking?
The match, too, it was
The
okay.
match was not good.
Like
Come on.
they showed some cool tag moves that they did, but it wasn't anything like, wow, I'm not like blown away by it.
Yeah, Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler beating Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil. Big deal. Not as good as Titus's fall into the ring at the Rumble. Johnny North, we are out of time. When can people see you in the ring? Hopefully not falling into it.
I'll try not to. So May 27th, I'm going to be wrestling Ray Steele at the Torture Chamber show, 4325 Industrial Boulevard, bell time 2 p.m.
All right, more on that. Follow him on Twitter at North Genesis. You can follow me at Dave Simon MMA. WrestlingUncensored.net is our website. Check us out on iTunes. Subscribe to our feed. That way all the shows go right to your device. Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. And also every show goes on our YouTube page, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. For Johnny North, I am Dave Simon. Big thanks to Marco and Jimmy back at TSN 690 for helping us out. And a big thanks to you for listening. This has been Wrestling Uncensored. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.